Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, whatever part of the world you are tuned in from. This is Funny Like a Clown Podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Wirth, July 6, 2021. This is episode 116. As always, today's episode is brought to you by G Vegas Buffalo Sauce. For the spicy, sweet, savory taste at game time, there is only one G Vegas, available at www.gvegas.webs.com. Go green, go fresh, get it shipped right to your door. I love buffalo sauce and I love comedy. Today for this episode, he's been called more than once a Boston legend. We have a comedian seen in the movie 8 Crazy Nights with Adam Sandler, Call Me Lucky, When Stand-Up Stood Out, The Complex World, and what a legendary comedy career. Chance Langton, welcome to the show.
Nice to see you, Dennis. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for being on. And gosh, you've had a career most in Boston comedy would be envious of, but...
Oh.
We got to start somewhere. Take us back to the beginning. When you were a young man, what made you want to be a comedian?
When I was a kid, I could make people laugh. I'm talking like elementary school. Mm-hmm. So I had a knack. Even when I was young, I actually wrote a parody. I don't know if this is funnier now or not, but honest to God, I wrote a parody when I was 5 years old. And it was Elvis Presley was the thing, that was happening. And
sure.
And you know how when you're a kid, you have to tie your shoes, but you can't tie your shoes, so your mother ties your shoe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually did like an Elvis type of song, and it doesn't sound like tie my shoe, but now that I've said it, and this, honest to God, this is no joke, I said, tie my shoe. I tie my shoe. I tie my shoe. Honest to God, 5 years
still
old.
Funny. I laughed. It's still
yeah, 5 years old, and I was in there. When I was a kid, I saw Rodney Dangerfield when I was in elementary school, and I just thought, he wasn't famous, but he was a character, and he did this bit. And I never asked him, when I was working with him, I think he would have been delighted, honestly, but he used to do this bit. I mean, to me, it was funny. I'm not doing it correctly, but he said, a lot of comedians, they want the adulation, they want a standing ovation, they want you to laugh like crazy, but not me. I just want one of these.
Right.
That's all I want. One of these.
Appreciate what you're doing.
You could do whatever you want to do, but just give me one of these. Wait a minute. I know what you're thinking. Him, one of these. Kind of a weird bit. So, honest to God, that's a bit he did.
So what was your first gig? You remember? What was your first open mic, or where was the first time in front of an audience that you tried it out?
Comedy-wise, it wasn't the first thing I did on stage. Again, I'm going back to elementary school. I was in the 5th grade, and two of my friends, classmates, were up on stage playing the guitars, and I was just, wow, what a thing. And immediately I got a guitar, and I started playing. So I was like maybe 10 years old. I enjoyed it very, very much, Another thing, again, I'm going back to elementary school, possibly junior high. I used to run home every day to watch Johnny Carson. He had a game show called Who Do You Trust? It's on 5 days a week, half-hour show. And he was hysterical. I mean, I just thought he was dynamite. He was irreverent, and it was so much fun to see him in that setting. So I mean, to me, that was very influential.
So did you start doing open mics, or were you performing for family, or how? What was your first gig where you performed in front of an audience?
There was I had a rock band at a certain point too, so I did that.
Were you playing bars or clubs, or what were you doing?
Junior high. When I was in junior high, I had a rock band.
Yeah.
Comedy-wise, I would say this. I'm trying to think. I used to play a place in Beverly, and it was called it was called Sandy's Jazz Revival, and then it was also Sandy's Concert Club. And I was doing musical stuff, but I did have this comedy stuff I was doing. So it wasn't an open mic. I was opening up for different acts.
Right.
Now,
Okay. So you tried it out during your musical act. That's how you
I
tried the
tried out
comedy.
doing my musical. Now,
Ah,
one of those gigs, the headliner was Buddy Rich, the great drummer,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
great jazz drummer. But he opened up with comedy. He's people think he's considered the greatest jazz drummer of all time. But he has the band behind him, and he came out front and just talking about his career, and it was funny, and I I didn't mean to heckle him. I was off stage. I was
Yeah.
kind of watching him, and I said, and he's getting a lot of laughs, and I said, hey, buddy, you ever think about being a stand-up comedian? He said, I don't think so. And he flipped me the bird. And it scared the crap out of me. But I
Teach you not to heckle, but right. So what was when you first tried it? What was the crowd's reception? I mean, they're expecting music and you're giving them comedy. Did they enjoy it or did they reject it? Or
I was, because of my experience
you know how to
performing,
handle a crowd, right?
yeah, I had no fear,
Okay.
Stand-up comedy wise, I mean, this is truly a trip. There were only two comedy clubs originally. 1975 was the Improv in New York, Comedy Store in Los Angeles.
Right.
Okay, so I did a bit. I went to the Improv, and by the way, I had hair down on my shoulders, gigantic beard.
You were young and ready, right?
Stone cold hippie.
Okay.
Stone cold. And I got the guitar, and they actually let me go on stage at that Improv. You're not going to believe who was on the lineup. There was Andy Kaufman. He was on the lineup.
Ladka.
Yep, Lacka. He was on. Larry David was hanging out in the back.
Wow.
I remember that. And I'm trying to think who else was on. Richard Lewis. He was on the David Letterman show a lot. I know there was some other people there, but Andy Kaufman was such a unusual act.
He was different, right?
He was doing all the things he became famous for. He was doing then, But I get up on stage, and I had this song called "The Attack of the Bugs." Okay, and the first chorus is cockroaches got me running out the door. So I'm singing about, well, I'll give you the first verse. Working on a routine day, sweating at my job until 6, got home, I kissed the clock, got time to let my mind unlock, smoked a joint, but I lost my high. The bugs came and I said goodbye, attack on apartment floors, get back. I don't want no more. Who's that? Why don't you know? Cockroaches got me running out the door. So I begin it, right? And then I stop and I say, I would like anybody here to do an imitation of a bug that bothers you. All right. So I go to this lady right in the front row and I say, what bug bothers you? And she was shy and afraid, and then I realized it's hard to imitate the crabs.
Oh boy.
I got a big laugh, right? Now
There you go.
I go to the next one, right? And there was this brutal heckler in the back. Get the hell off the stage. You suck. I'm not kidding. I mean, a brutal heckler.
Right.
I've never seen a heckler this bad. So this guy's heckling me, and Larry David in the back started screaming and yelling at the guy, gut in his face.
Right.
It was pretty weird. So that was New York. I was driving cross country.
Turning into a scene right there, right?
I turned into a scene. And but I drove to Los Angeles. Along the way, I was stopped in Nashville. I did a show there musically.
Right.
But I get to LA and I drive by, and I hate to tell you, and I don't drink much, to tell you the truth, even to this day. But
good for you.
I was kind of shattered because I went out there to meet my girlfriend. She was in love with somebody else.
Oh, that'll do it to you.
I'm driving up Sunset Strip, right? And I look to the left and I see the Comedy Store. And the Comedy Store, then they didn't call it an open mic. They called it potluck.
Yep.
That's what they call it. So I drive by and I go, I'll check this out. I walk in and what's going on? And they said, well, you sign your name up. They never even used the word open mic. I go, great. Now, and by the way, I had a weird look, like I said, a long hair, but I had this strange looking hat, not quite like a cowboy hat, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I go on stage and I had a bit that I still do to this day. And it was a true comedy bit. And that was singing the Three Stooges alphabet song. I don't know if you remember that song.
B.I., Bicky I, something like that. I remember it. Yeah.
That's it. And so I do it, and this crowd's jacked. Again, it's one of only 2 clubs in America.
Okay.
So I go up there, I do that song, and then I get off. Mitzi Shores has an assistant, and she comes up to me and she says, Mitzi wants you to be a regular.
Wow. The legend herself, Mitzi Shore.
Mitzi Shore.
So you weren't even planning to go here? You were visiting a girl and just happened by and stopped in? This wasn't your plan to go to the comedy store?
It's also a songwriter, so I,
Yeah. It
I
attracted you, right?
I made some good connections. But anyway, she made me a regular right off the.
Oh.
And so the first gig, this is crazy. She had 2 clubs. She had the one in Hollywood. She had one in a part of LA called Westwood.
Right. That was where the young one started in Westwood. And then if you made it there, you got to go to the comedy store, right?
I think so. I think that's what it was all about. But I go there. It's the God's truth. The first show, the host was Jay Leno.
The Boston legend.
Yep. Joe was Jay Leno. I almost called him Joe Leno. But yeah. He was the host.
He was on the Boston scene for a long time, Jay.
He was on the scene in Boston. He was going to Emerson College.
Yeah.
And he was playing these different, almost like what I was doing, opening up in these different places for other acts.
Right, yeah.
Can't quite remember where he was. But anyway, I heard of his name even back then, So he's the host. And I had this gruesome song. We can do swears, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I had this gruesome song called Eat Shit. And it
quite the title.
Yeah.
Catchy though.
Well, yeah. One minute I painted my house, the next second it fell down. I gave my friend some food to eat, but he fell onto the ground. So what do you do when you keep on losing and you want to change this world? You just keep on walking through the same old shit. And here since Eve wormed her way to this pit, eat shit.
Shit. There you go.
Yep, brutal song, right? And Jay Leno comes up. I can't do a good impression, but I'll try. Okay, he goes,
okay.
That was Chance Langton with this new hit, Eat Shit. Join him next week when he sings Go Fuck Yourself.
He'd be on the golden oldies then.
Yeah. And David Letterman was on the show, right? And I remember sitting in the back, I went on after David Letterman.
Yeah.
David Letterman is in the back and he goes on stage, to God's truth. He's bombing completely. Now I got to know, there's an audience there at that point, and he's up there on stage and he's bombing big time. I mean, no one's laughing at all, to the point that people were leaving. They walked out.
He was walking the room.
He walked the room, and I'm sitting in the back. Get the fuck off the stage. Give me a chance, will you? You suck. And it was David Letterman, I swear to God. And I don't even recall.
Yeah.
This will trip you out completely. So I'm going back to the comedy store, and already a clique was forming. And here was this is the God's truth. It was Jay Leno talking to David Letterman, talking to Tom Dreesen. Does that ring a bell? Tom Dreesen.
Dreesen rings a bell, yeah.
Johnny Dark, who I thought was the funniest guy there. He ended up being in Vegas. So there's just talking like a clique. I'm outdoors.
Legends before they were legends.
Yeah, before, but they already formed like a clique,
Right, yeah.
And I'm outside I'm just shooting, I'm not even talking to him. I'm just out on my own. And I see David Letterman there and I go, hey, David, how you doing? He goes, not bad. How you doing? I go, well, pretty good for a guy who was sleeping in his car. God's truth.
Well, that's a good point. Now, back in nowadays, we got the internet. You can be a star from anywhere, but back in the day, you had to sell the TV, sell the couch. I mean, quit your job, go to LA or New York. You really had to go for it back then, right?
I was sleeping on the couch, sleeping in my car.
You chose to go for it.
And you know what he says? This is the God's truth. He says, I want you to stay at my house. My wife won't understand. I want you to stay at my house. And I go, don't worry about it. Honest to God. He was a weatherman on TV, like a regular weatherman on a nightly.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So he had to be making $500,000 a year, being a weatherman in a major. I think he was possibly from Indiana, maybe.
I think.
And
I've seen the story, and I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was, he had a lot of coins, so he probably owned a house.
Right. So did you go?
I didn't go.
Didn't go.
Yeah. Big mistake,
Right.
But
all right. So Mitzi sure made you a paid regular at the Comedy Store. What was that like for you being a paid regular?
it wasn't a paid regular. It just you're a regular, not getting. In fact, no one was getting paid.
Oh, that's right. They had the big strike there because nobody was getting paid. Right. Yeah. Okay. But I mean, did it give you prestige where that led to paid gigs by performing there, or?
Again, there weren't any comedy clubs.
Okay, so that was it, basically.
No gigs in the suburbs or any of that stuff.
Oh, I see.
I'll tell you one thing, Dennis. She never forgot me. And, I eventually left LA. Maybe I was there for maybe, I'd say 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And so when I split and went back to Boston, since 1975. So I get married and I have a baby, so I go,
That'll slow you down.
I got to make a living. So what I did was, because I could play the guitar and I could sing and I knew popular songs, I had a friend. It's such a cool way of doing like a lounge gig.
Yeah.
I'm up there. My friend did this. I knew music. So, I knew the melody of every song. So I could instantly play the melody, but learning the lyrics was a pain in the ass, So a friend of mine used to do this on stage. He had like a music stand to the left, nobody could see it. And he had the lyrics to every single song so you could sing, almost like a teleprompter, and read the lyrics. And that's what I did. So I didn't have to learn the songs,
Right.
So I was able to make a living to get by, But eventually I was doing like comedy stuff. I was easing it in. And then boom, like around 78, everything blew up all around the country, the comedy boom.
Right.
And in Boston, it was the Comedy Connection and then the Ding Ho.
The famous Ding Ho. That's where I wanted you to take us right there. Tell us about the Ding Ho days.
It was very exciting. I headlined on Saturday nights.
And that was Lenny Clark who started that room, right? Or Barry Crimmins, but Lenny kind of ran the show, right?
No, I think Lenny was more like he had the open mic on Wednesday.
Oh, he had the open mic night, okay.
The open mic on Wednesday night, but it was a good show. And Lenny was a firebrand, if that's the right word. He really had charisma up the yin. He's on stage. He just had, I would say, a charisma you can't teach.
You could tell he had it, right? Yeah.
He had it. He was a classic, swaggering stand-up comedian. That's what I thought.
Tell us some stories of the Ding Ho. What do you remember of the place?
Yeah. Well, so Friday night, I was headlining, selling out 2 shows.
Yeah.
I used to do a bit. It was so unique. In some ways funny. If they did a video of this, it'd be very funny nowadays. What I did was, I said, I always had a dream of being on TV. See that window over there? See that window right to the left of the stage? The window looking out? I'm going to go on TV. So I went outside the building and they held me up. And I'm looking through the window like I'm on TV.
Like you're on TV, okay.
And I had a mic, so I was doing the bits.
Okay, yeah.
It's off the wall, But I'll tell you, I thought Stephen Wright was, he was just, I really did believe he was the most unique
He was different. That's what they look for in comedy. They want something different. He was different for the time. Yeah.
Yeah, right from jump. He had the whole stage persona down. He had the whole.
Right.
You got to have a good physical presentation. He had it. You know, I mean, the mic is in his face. He's looking straight out.
Deadpan.
All these guys that went to Emerson College had something going for them ahead of the game. You know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of good. Jay Leno went there himself, and also Paula Poundstone probably, and Dennis Leary went there, and it just an endless stream. So for some
A
reason,
lot of talent there. Yeah.
you wouldn't believe. You know who went to college here? You're not going to believe this. In the '40s, because it was around in the '40s. After he got out of World War II, Norman Lear.
Norman Lear. Wow. The
Norman Lear.
legendary television personality.
Well, he created Stanford and Son, All in the Family.
Good times.
Good times. And
Yeah.
you know, you mentioned that. The big star at the Comedy Store was Jimmy Walker.
Jimmy Walker. I booked Jimmy Walker. He was a great guy. I got to hang out with him for a whole weekend. He was.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy, and he was a star. He was
Yeah,
a star in good times, and I mean, so he was in my mind the biggest star in America as in terms of doing comedy in those days.
Right,
75,
yeah.
you know, when I
Yeah.
saw him. You know, so the Ding Ho was good. It was a lot of fun.
Now let me ask you this. I mean, every comedian knows the story that the Tonight Show, one of the producers or directors, his kid was looking at college out here. He called up, he heard about you guys. Can you set up a special night? I want to see all you guys. And Stephen
Yep.
Wright was the one who won the Tonight Show. But were you there for that night? Were you on that lineup?
I
Or?
wasn't there for that night. I was out of town, unfortunately, you know.
Okay.
But,
See, I had Bill Campbell on, and Bill said I had to work that night. I couldn't make
Yeah.
it. He said nobody took it serious, but
yeah. That's what you just said is true about the guy was there to see going to college. You know, I was watching. Did you see the Jimmy Tingle the benefit he was doing for Barry Crimmins' wife?
for his wife, right? Yeah, he did a replay this year, right?
They
Yeah,
did a replay just the other night, you know.
right. Yeah.
And they were talking about, and I didn't. Here's another thing will crack you up. When I first did that, I did my spot and I split. You know,
Okay.
everybody, but this is the first time I saw everybody talking and then their bits.
Yeah.
You're doing the interview with Jimmy, and then they would show a bit, you know, a segment, you know.
Right. Yeah. What was going on? Yeah, like a documentary, right?
Yeah, it was like a documentary. And the really interesting thing was they were talking about coincidence. So for Stephen Wright, that was a coincidence that guy happened to be there that night.
Oh, right time, right place. That's everything in comedy.
Right
Yeah.
time. And here's the story I never even knew. Barry Crimmins, who started the Ding Ho, all right, he was hitchhiking to New York. And he got, you know, he's coming from upstate New York. And they get to the point where there's a fork in the highway. You either go right to New York or you go left to Boston.
Right.
And the guy says, I'm going to Boston. I'll let you off here. You can come with me to Boston. So we went to Boston. I mean,
better than walking, right?
that was a coincidence. And
Right.
that's what they were talking about. And possibly Stephen Wright said that all of these things kind of lined up, you know.
Do you remember who was on that show? Who were the guys on that lineup? I know Lenny was there and Stephen Wright, obviously, but other than that,
Lenny was there. Crimmins himself was there. I'm not sure who else was there, you know, but a lot of guys ended up going on the Tonight Show. Jack Gallagher was a comedian out of there.
okay.
Sean Morey, trying to think of some other ones. I think they were the ones that went on the Tonight Show. You know what's weird, Dennis?
What's that?
I think going on the Tonight Show, you're going to think I'm crazy. It's easy.
Yeah.
You might have it in your mind that it's not easy, but it is easy. I mean, I've been there. I've seen guys on the show that I'm at least as good as these guys, if not better. I'm saying I hate to be good. But you know, I saw one of the most amazing things I saw. I had a friend there at the comedy store, and this is what I wanted to mention. Mrs. Shore never forgot me. Whenever I came to town, she always gave me primo spots. I sent you the lineup.
Yeah. You were on with some big names there. Letterman, Leno,
Yeah.
Bluestein, Quasman. I've had them on. Yeah.
Yeah. Crossman was there. Yeah. I mean, so she put me on, and then, because here's the weird part. All these guys that are there, they got to go on the road to
Right.
make a living. I'm in Boston and I'm making a living, and I can do, it's like a perfect workout place for me. I can constantly get stuff going on. And as I said, I would go out there every once in a while. She always put me on. And then one night, because I've been working out so much in the comedy that I had it, I was getting a good act, so she sees me and she goes, "Oh, I can't do her. Oh, Chance. Oh, Chance. You've gotten so good, Chance." Uh, she made me a regular at the main room. They
Oh
have
boy.
3 rooms there. They have the original room, which was really a cool room. They call it. It was dark. I saw Sam Kinison. I saw everybody. Sam Kinison would go on last.
Tell us about Sam. That's the guy I got involved with comedy because of. He changed the game, Sam. But what do you remember of Sam?
First time I saw him, I'm going, this guy's like Beethoven, I mean, he's like, I can't do his act, but it's like, well, I went here. He's talking really softly, kind of bringing me. Again, it's not even an impression, but something like, I know that I want to do things. And he would scream.
Out of nowhere, right?
Whoa, I'm going, holy moly, I saw everybody there imaginable. I saw everybody,
Well, again, like Stephen Wright, that was different. The screaming thing was different. Nobody had done it. When you can do something different, you get noticed. Yeah.
You know who was great? Jim Carrey. He was
the facial expressions, right?
He was like a living cartoon on stage. He would do these impressions, and it was like a cat. He made his body into a caricature, and he had a lot of energy and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is an obscure thing. But he did an impression of the movie On Golden Pond. It was a drama.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, and it started Henry Fonda, Jane Fonda. I can't remember the other one's name. The other son, I can't remember his name.
It was a long time ago. I was a kid when I saw that.
Yeah, Katharine Hepburn.
Hepburn, there you go.
He did an impression of all of them, like they were cartoons.
Oh.
And I was dying, and he's, funny stuff.
I heard he always got a standing ovation. Every set he did, he got a standing ovation for.
He was on fire.
Yeah.
And I heard of him years before because I was working at Dangerfields in New York City.
Yeah.
That was a thrill all the way. I was headlining there.
Then you actually got to open for Rodney, right? How did you get discovered by him?
We did gigs in the United States, and the picture I sent you, that was me and him backstage in Columbus, Ohio. And that was a blast. And another thing, and you'll know this, and if you have not experienced, you will experience it. When you're in a concert hall, it's easier.
Oh, there's so many people. Yeah, laughter carries. Yeah.
The sound is perfect. The lights are on you. They're in the dark. It's like a movie,
Oh, yeah.
And then as long as you're in rhythm and you got it down, you're going to just blow them away.
Well, I've always said, if you can get a drunk who didn't even know there was comedy that night laughing, you've accomplished something. If you're in a big hall like that, it's easy. They expect it.
Yeah. It's like, I use the word energy. It's like a ripple effect, I mean, so it was cool. But what happened was Rodney's business partner, Dangerfields, said to me, and he used to, it was wonderful. He used to put ads in the paper, and, this guy's name was Tony Bavacqua. They put ads in the paper, and there's my picture in it, the New York Post. And I go in there, and he's showing me all these different pictures, different headliners. Go, see this guy here? He's going to be a superstar. And it was Jim Carrey.
Oh.
And Jim was opening for Rodney Dangerfield too. So when I was out in LA, I said, geez, Jim, I've been waiting to meet. He was on In Living Color at the time.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, Jim, been waiting to meet. I saw Tony Dangerfield. He told me you open. I opened for, really, man? Really? And he became an instant friend. He was so happy.
Right, yeah.
And then, of course, I split LA. So I'm going back, it wasn't like, he was exceptional in my
So is he the one who got you the gig opening for Rodney?
No, I opened for Rodney prior to that.
So how did you get that gig? How did that come about?
Right out of Dangerfields. He called me
They,
up.
they just saw you set, liked it, and you're open
Well,
for Rodney?
I was headlining at the club,
Okay.
and so the owner, Rodney's business partner,
Yeah.
called me up. Rodney, we want you to open for Rodney, and that was it.
Were you speechless, or what do you say to a call like that? I don't even know.
I'm trying to think. I can't say. Well, yeah, I was. Thank you. Oh man, Tony, thank you so much.
I had Tom Carter on. Tom Carter said George Carlin called his phone, and he said he was too nervous to pick it up. He just let it go to voicemail. I'm like, you didn't know you answer your phone for George Carlin? I was too nervous. I can't imagine, but I mean, you must have. Rodney Dangerfield's calling. That had to be a thrill.
Yeah, you know what? Dangerfield's was. It was an interesting place because it was old school, and I mean going way back. I mean Rodney's colleagues, you might say. Red Fox, you know him, right? Sanford.
Oh yeah, Sanford is on it.
He was the
Legend.
most obscene act on the face of the earth.
Oh, he was the dirty comic before he was the original dirty act. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Richard Pryor was not totally dirty, He was like almost like a pitcher, he would do different things, but Red Fox was like bang.
Yeah. Well, Pryor said that Fox was one of his influences. That was a guy who inspired Pryor. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know who was in that circle? I used to love watching him at the Comedy Store. Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney was Richard Pryor's writing partner.
Okay.
He played the piano and was sort of surly. He came on like a black guy who hates white people, and it was just an act.
Right.
It was bluesy, and he's playing the piano so good, but he was like, it was just funny, because when you meet him on stage, that's not the guy.
Definitely not who he is. It's all an act, right?
Yeah, it was an act,
Well,
but
they said that about the Dice Man. He got picketed forever. He's like, it's just an act I'm doing. Take a joke,
Yep. He was just Dice. He did that one of those Dangerfield specials on HBO, and
yeah, the same thing was saying. Rodney broke a lot of people, but what was he like off stage? What was Rodney? Was he the same as on stage, or
very laid back,
yeah,
almost shy?
Really?
Laid back and shy, and very a gentleman, I would call him. You're soft spoken, really, but he liked, so we started talking about comedy, and I wrote a couple of jokes, and he used them. I saw that, when he went on the Tonight Show,
right, yeah.
He had a couple of my jokes. He writes almost all his stuff, but he was open to people telling him,
Okay,
whatever
so
you got, let me hear it.
Did he give you any pointers on your act or anything, or?
We didn't really talk about that. I could tell you, here's what I see. For what it's worth, here's my perception of comedy.
Okay.
There's three styles in my mind. Okay. Distinctive styles. I call it this: one-liners, storytelling, and I would call it third one, they call it observational humor. That would be like Jerry Seinfeld or Jay Leno too, So I think those are the three styles. Okay. My style is stand-up is mainly one-liners. So Rodney inspired me big time. Also, you get those three. Now, it's not all written in stone. I mean, you could have some go, together. Bill Cosby, I know he's a jerk, but he was the greatest.
He's free now. They just let him out.
They let him out. Everybody's happy, So, so he was the greatest storyteller in my mind, And then I think Jerry is probably the best observational, just for me, And this is unreal. I auditioned to be Kramer. I swear to God.
Really?
Swear to God, it was close but no cigar.
Yeah. Well, you can say you did it anyway.
Yeah, I did it, and a good thing, you have to have specific goals. So when anybody comes up to you, unless you have an incredibly hip manager who knows what can be done, and I never had one of those guys, but I know now, way too late. But you got to have a specific, like what you're doing now. That's perfect. What you're doing now, you created your own.
Yeah, it's getting a much bigger response than I anticipated when I started. That's for sure.
You're doing good, Dennis. I've seen the other episodes and it looks
Well,
great.
I'm a hustler like you. I heard you were a big hustler back in the day. You outworked everybody. I'm outworking everybody. That's what I'm
Uh,
doing. So
Yeah, yep, that's what I did. You know what happened, Dennis? Again, I have a wife, my little daughter,
yeah,
and I said to myself, I want to buy a house. Now, way back then, the real estate wasn't that expensive, and so
yeah,
I ended up buying a house. I had to, there's a upside and a downside to being hustling around.
right.
A lot of people, and I'm gonna tell you the God's truth, they resent your
Yes,
success.
they do. I've experienced that. Yeah.
You're seeing that, right? And then if in your case, you got your nice show and you got your comedy club. Was it Joke in the Box? Is that what
Joke
it
in
is?
the box. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That you've done this. You've created something unique.
Right.
No one had that name in all of America. I mean, that's a great name.
Well, the
So
thing is, you can only put 3 comics on a show, and they want you to put 50. Everybody wants a spot, and I can't book everybody, and you end up being a jerk. That's how it works, you know?
if you have an open mic,
Right.
you can say to them, "Hey, look, I appreciate it. I'm excited you want to work with me.
Uh,
Here's an open mic." Oh,
everybody wants to start at the top, though, Chance. Nobody
yeah,
wants to pay the dues anymore. That's the problem.
yeah, yeah. You got to build. And remember
Yeah.
what okay.
Well, we
I
get that. We're old school. These kids don't get it.
Yeah, yeah. But again, now I'm going back to the street styles, okay?
Okay.
Okay, you got that. Now you have to have a physical delivery that's distinct. Rodney, he's got the tie, he's moving his head, right? You got Johnny Carson, his hand behind his back is perfectly coordinated. I went down to sardines and, he's got that physical thing. And then Stephen Wright, another one, he's got that mic in his face.
Deadpan, yeah.
He's meandering on the stage. So that's a physical delivery. I can't tell you how to do that. I can say that try to do it. See me could figure something out, but I can't. I'm not the expert. I
Trying
only
to
see
master it, right.
and then now here's the thing. Do it in 1 minute. I call it the 1 minute. I call it the first minute. The first minute you're out there, you're doing that. You got a style, you got a physical delivery, you have a persona. Rodney Dangerfield, no respect. If the roof is caving in, that's his persona.
Right.
Stephen Wright, I'm in outer space. I'm looking.
Decide whether the crowd likes you or not in the first minute, right?
Yeah, you got to get it. You got to blow them away in 1 minute.
Right.
5 minutes is a long time. They're telling you to do 5. Do 1 minute. If you blow them away, in 1 minute,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, "Hey, come on back."
5 is easy, right?
So I think that's just my take
So,
on it.
who are some of the comics that inspired you? Who are some of the mainstream guys? Obviously Rodney, but who are the guys you looked at and really said, "Wow, I'd like to be like him"?
Yeah, it's going way back. Okay, Red Skelton, I thought was great. You probably don't know who he is,
I
but
know he is.
you know him. You heard of him.
Yep.
He was just a wonderful, likable guy on stage. And he was more of an actor really because he did characters.
Yeah.
He did characters, and he had a big influence. Again, you probably don't. Do you know Bob Nelson? You ever hear of Bob Nelson?
Bob Nelson, he was one of Rodney's young comedian specials. Did the football guy and
The football guy, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was sort of like Red Skelton, he's playing these different,
Right, characters, right.
so he created that thing. I like a guy, again, it's very obscure. His name is Ernie Kovacs. Now, Ernie Kovacs was totally off the wall, and he had a syndicated show. So it wasn't on the major networks, The network would play it, but it's called syndicated in those days. And he was on Sunday night at 6:30 at night, just once a week. And he was so off the freaking wall. I mean, I thought he was great. I saw everybody I saw, I thought was exciting. Just about everybody I saw on TV, in the movies or whatever, Here's a thrill. I was at the Comedy Store and I'm looking at this guy. He's on stage and he's blowing the house out. And I'm saying to myself, I'm not as good as this guy. I'm not even close, and I'm watching
Right.
him. Wow, you know, it was like, and now I'm talking like I already have been a comedian, so this is like in the '80s. Like I
Yeah.
said, I would go back out there every once in a while. So I'm seeing this guy, and well, this guy's great. It was Gary Shanley.
Oh, the legend.
Gary Shanley, right? And we have a mutual friend. His name was Robert. And Robert took me, he was, when he was doing his thing, he was getting ready for the Tonight Show. And I went to the Tonight Show to
Yeah.
see him, his first shot on the Tonight Show. He blew the house out completely,
Really?
you know,
Did he
looking
get
at
the
me.
wave? Come on over to the couch. You were a made comic if you got the wave from Johnny, right?
I'm not sure if he get the wave. I
We got
don't,
the okay. That was the
they
Johnny's
probably
okay.
be okay, you know, but Steven got the couch, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You were a made comic back then. I mean, if you got, that was it. You were working comic forever.
Well, Stephen Wright, this is so funny, right? Uh, so they had him on 3 days later. They had him on
Yeah, yeah.
twice in 1 week,
1 week, yeah.
right? And Stephen is very laid back, you know, and so he was obviously pleased, very humble, you know, and easygoing. And they have him back. So the next week, there's a club called Stitches. It was at the Paradise.
Yeah.
Part of the Paradise. At this point, there's comedy clubs all over Kingdom Come.
Oh, yeah. A bowling alley was a comedy club everywhere.
Definitely, definitely, you know. So Stephen Wright is walking up towards Stitches, and I'm walking away from Stitches. And
Oh,
I hear a soft voice, Jazz, Jazz, Jazz. I look up, I go, Stephen, congratulations, that's fantastic. And he says, and this is the God's truth. This guy's got his lawnmower here, little sound effects. Can you
all
hear it?
right. We got it. I hear it.
Yeah. Really annoys me.
We still hear you. Don't worry.
There's a groundskeeper where I live, you know, and yeah, you know, I can't stand every time, but he's gone now.
All
Maybe
right.
he'll come back. So Steven says, yeah, I go, congratulations, Steven. He goes, again, I can't do an impression. I'll try my best. Chad, I get a problem. What's the matter? I did 10 minutes. I only have 10 minutes left. He had 20 minutes.
That's it, huh?
That was it. You know, and
Legendary Stephen Wright back in the day. Who knew, right?
overnight sensation.
Yeah, that's how it happens that quick. Well, you've had a legendary career too. Let me name some things here and just be quick about it and just tell me what you remember about these things.
Yeah.
ABC's The Rick D Show Into the Night. You were on that. What do you
Here
remember?
tonight with Rick Dees. That was a lot of fun. Did you ever see the show or did you?
I've heard of it. I think some old
I've heard it.
reruns. I think I might have seen.
It was late night against competing with Carson, and I can't remember if there's anybody at CBS. This was ABC. Now, I got to tell you the God's truth. I hardly told anybody this. But I'm going to tell you now.
All right.
Again, when you're in LA, here's the deal. You know, you're not making hardly any money at all in the clubs, the comedy club, even at the comedy store. Even when they got the money, maybe $25.
Yeah, all right. Gas money if you're lucky.
Yeah, $50. You know.
Yeah.
In LA, in New York, they always call it cab fare. Now, Dangerfield's paid very good money, and they were very nice to me. Rodney had a studio apartment / office right next to the club.
Yeah.
And they let me stay there whenever I came in town. So they were very, very nice.
Because he knew what it was like. He knew what it was like to be a struggling comic, right?
Yeah, and so you play the other clubs, and they
don't know what it's like.
$7 a show, right?
Right.
$7, and they called it cab fare because they're all out there, you know, trying to make it happen in those two major places, you know.
Right.
So at the comedy store, I'm not sure where I was going with this. Oh, I forgot where I was going. Do you remember what I was saying before? Rick Dees, you were saying.
Rick Dees, we're talking about. Yeah.
I'm saying you never know who's going to be New York. So I'm in another club called Igby's in West LA. This is a club too, you know. And this is when the clubs are all over the place. And the guy sees me, you know, older gentleman, gray hair, distinguished looking guy, and he's got this beautiful black lady, younger, right? And they come up to me. Here's the deal. If you have a great set, you're in, you know? So
Pressure's on.
those are the odds.
Yeah.
you can do it. We've done it, you know? So if you hit that brake set right at
Oh, yeah.
the right place, that's
Well,
what you do. So a guy comes up, he gives me his card. It's the president of ABC,
wow.
right? And the woman was the director of the head of comedy at ABC,
Yeah.
you know? So here they were, and it's very, very strange. So I call up the lady, and she was kind of a scatterbrain when I called her up. And she says, oh, you know, I thought this would be the right thing for you. And it's like with these people, you need a manager. That's really what you need. You need somebody talking to them on your
Right.
behalf to filter out what's
The
going on.
middleman. Yeah.
Yeah, a middleman, and it could be anybody. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, Woody Allen's manager. You know, it doesn't have to
Right.
be the best manager in the world. You know, so somebody to just speak for you is very important. So now the guy, the president of
Yeah.
ABC, obviously, it's very difficult to get a meeting. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. I imagine.
and I'm calling on my own, maybe once a month. And finally, the day came. Come on in. Your secretary, you know, Phil's going to see you. And I had a manager at the time who was honestly, he just wasn't good, and he wasn't hip.
Yeah.
Kind of like just rolling the dice. You know, if something comes up, you know. But at any rate, I go into the meeting, and this is what I said earlier. You have to have an idea of exactly what you want to do. I go into the meeting. It's very chance you got your hour. What do you want to talk about? I had nothing to talk about.
You thought they were going to tell you what to do, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. I thought they were going to tell me what.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Right.
Right now, if I had to do over again, now this is the God's truth.
Live and learn, right?
But I felt it could have been done. Now I'm getting into real hyperbole, or maybe, you know,
Woulda, coulda, if I could do it again, right?
right, if I could do it again. Now here's what I would have said. I would have said, Phil, I'm old school all the way. So let me do stand up so I can do a monologue. So I say, I go, number two, I'm a musician. I'm a professional musician, so I could jam with other artists. I love laughing at people, so I'd be very easygoing. Phil, I want my own late night talk show, and
Ah,
I swear to God, he would have done it. I know he would have.
that would have sold it, right? Well, you had to learn that. Let's see.
But right, so it would have been me against Jay and David,
Jay and Letterman, right?
right? And again, we're going back. I was with those guys.
You started out with them, right? Yeah, yeah.
Right at the comedy store, you know.
The late night wars.
I felt like I could have pulled it off, honest to God. You know,
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You never know. Everybody misses opportunities. You can't do everything. Everybody's missed an opportunity. But
oh
NBC Fridays, tell us about that.
yeah, that was a funny story. This is funny. NBC Fridays was, I can't remember. It was on late, so it was probably on like I don't know what night. Well, it was on Friday. Obviously, I can't remember what time it was on. This is the God's truth. I didn't have a car out there. I had a car and it was stolen,
Oh boy.
you know, which sucked, you know, and I'm out there, and there's a guy who was hanging out at the comedy clubs, got a weird name, Johnny Zapp. He was just hanging out, you know, and I said, geez, Johnny, I need a lift, you know, and it was like he was almost like reluctant, you know, like he didn't want to go. And I go, well, you know, I'll try to find some. All right, I'll give you a ride. So he gives me a ride, and he's in the audience, and I'm doing my thing. The guy who gave me a ride heckled me.
Oh gee.
I swear to God, the guy who drove me heckled me. I mean, that's you know, and I'm up there, and you know how I do this bit, shut up. You know,
Yeah.
you remember that. You know, it's like one day I was playing the field with my kid, and a stranger said, your son has the body to be a great football player. And I said, shut up, that's my daughter, right? So I'm doing the bit.
Yeah.
And you know, and then I'm pausing at a certain point, right? And he yells out, shut up. And everybody starts laughing, right? And
That's how bits are born, right there.
yeah. And so I said, oh, this is great. The guy who gave me a ride just heckled me, you know?
Yeah.
And what happened was the producers of the show weren't happy that this guy did it.
Oh,
And so my spot was edited.
ah,
It was a real drag.
never
But
know who
it
you're gonna upset. All right,
was
this
real.
is one I remember great from when I was a kid. A&E's Evening at the Improv. What was that like?
That was fun. It was A&E was doing a lot of different shows. That was a very good show. You know, I
We
liked
also did A&E Comedy on the Road, right? You did both of those
that was
for
on,
A&E.
and that was at the Paradise in Boston.
Okay.
Paradise was Stitches was a comedy club
Yeah.
on the Paradise, but it was at the Paradise. I'll send you a video of that. I thought that was one of my best spots, you know, of all
Okay.
time.
How,
You know,
how, how did they get you for that? What did you just audition or?
well, no, you were in they chose people from Boston that were well known.
Oh, okay. So you were one of the well-known comics, and
The host was John Biner, who was a classic old comedian way back in the Rodney days. You know, so he was the host.
right?
The director and I became pretty good friends. The director of the show, so he did Evening at the Improv. He did Caroline's Comedy Hour. He did Comedy on the Road.
Which you were also on Caroline's Comedy Hour, right?
That was good.
Okay.
Colin Quinn was the host.
Colin, yeah.
Colin Quinn was the host, but Comedy on the Road, everybody on that show was from Boston.
It was a Boston thing. Okay.
That's the deal. They go, you know, the different cities, and so the people from that city are on the show. That's why they call it Comedy.
Right. Well, I remember what Nesson did an All Stars thing too, and you got to be on that, right? Because they were doing the Boston guys. You're one of the legendary Boston guys.
Yeah, that was fun. And the host was Gary Gulman. Gary is big on HBO now. He's really great. I mean, I think he's a dynamite. So here's a guy that works hard. He, you know, gets his stuff down. He's just an excellent performer. So he was the host, you know. He's nationally known now, you know.
Going, yeah.
He was the host, a great guy.
All right, VH1 stand-up spotlight.
Yeah, you know, for some reason, I'm drawing a blank on that one. I think it might have been in New York.
Okay.
I don't know, remember where or what, you know, but it's probably somewhere on my computer, you know. But
You've done so much; it's tough to remember everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. How
Okay.
you doing in comedy, Dennis?
I would, things were taking off really good until this pandemic hit, and that put all of us at a standstill.
Isn't that something? You know what?
Overnight, man, everybody was shut down.
Everybody was shut down. I had to do I had to make a living somehow. You know, it's God's truth.
Yeah.
I got hired to participate in a controversial medical experiment. I told jokes, and Caitlyn Jenner laughed her nuts off.
Okay.
Oh, there's one. And then we sang The Way We Were. No, she was, you know, that was a trip. I'm trying to think of the other one. There was another one, but I can't think of it right now, you know, trying to make a living, you know, somehow.
All right. So, you're making a living. You sell CDs, which back in the day you could put out a CD and make some money off it. Nowadays, with the free computer download, you couldn't. But you put out Because That's the Way I Am, and I'm Better Than Them. Tell us about those.
Yeah, because That's the Way I Am. I recorded at the comic strip in New York. It's a comic strip. This is a truly interesting story. And this album, by the way, Mitzi Shore in the West, it was vinyl, and it was black and white, and she loved the album, and she put it in her case. Her case meaning when you walk into the main room, there I am in the what do we call that, like a glass case or something?
A showcase, showcase.
Yeah, that went there. So I'm opening up in New York, and the owner of the club are the managers of Eddie Murphy. All right.
Ooh.
I never met Eddie.
Yeah.
So when you're on a show like that on a Saturday night, which is always the big night, they have like maybe 10 comics a show doing 15 minutes.
15 minutes, a Comedy Store thing, yeah.
Yeah. So probably they're having like 20 comedians for the night.
Right.
What happened was, and this is right time, right place. So they knew I was making the album, the record company, the whole works, right?
Yeah.
That's where I want to do it. And they were the managers of Eddie Murphy. And Eddie was getting ready to do the Raw tour,
Yeah.
you know. And so what happened was, because he was doing the thing and he's doing like an hour, they canceled everybody else but me.
Oh,
So I opened for Eddie Murphy.
open for Eddie. You're back into that one.
Back into it, and the crowd was jacked like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, yeah. Eddie, he gets the big, yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a track. I can send you an MP3. I can pull it out, right? I'm better than them. Very interesting thing with that album. I was in, I I did it. I recorded the stand-up spot in 2012. It's called the Capitol Center for the Performing Arts in Concord, New Hampshire. I had done a few shows there prior, and I said, this is the place to do it.
All right.
It's about 2,000 people, maybe, you know?
I think you sent me something. You want me to play a little bit?
Yeah, sure. That was
All
from
right.
that was from that record. Sure. Give it a shot.
Let me see what we got here.
Yeah, yeah.
Here we go. See what we got. Here's Chance Langton. Well, I'll let you tell us. Let's listen to it then. You can tell us what we got.
Yep. I can play it on my boom box right here. The crowd is hissing me right now. I remember that. That's a riot. That's so funny. Yeah, like, could you play videos by any chance? It's too late now, but could, maybe the next time, do you have like a way of playing a video at all? Or?
I don't know. I just have what you sent me there, the clips you sent me.
Yeah, no, I'm saying for the future. I mean, can you actually play a video from a TV show or anything like that?
No, we can just hear it. They see us, but we can hear what was going on. But tell us about that.
You mean the concert with
Well, the one we just played there. What? I mean, you had them laughing in the first minute. You said the first minute, and you were getting laughs one after another. So
yeah, that's the name of the game. And then you build.
right.
So that first minute, okay, just theoretically, I'm Dennis Wirth. I come out and I just blew you away in 1 minute.
Right.
And now I get the next minute. So you're building and you're building and building. And then when you get to 5 minutes, it's not so, there's no, the earth ain't going to crash in,
Right.
And I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about anybody. And then you build, and before you know it, you got 20 minutes. Look at Stephen Wright. I mean, he had 20 minutes.
One-liners. That's a lot of one-liners too. Yeah.
And he did it just like when he's on stage. He always looks the same, right? He's got the mic in his face. He's meandering about, and all the jokes are outside the box. So he created so he did that in 1 minute. Same with Rodney, 1 minute.
I figured that early. You gotta. I put my one-liners up front because that got them laughing. Now, once they know you're funny, now they'll listen to a story if you want to tell it. Where if you start out with a story, you haven't shown them you're funny yet. They don't want to listen to a story yet.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to do it. Like I say, it's not written in stone.
Right. You got to win them over, right?
You can mix it, if you need to. But is it playing there now, to the audience or?
No, it's back. I stopped it. Yeah, because you were asking me a question about the video or whatever. We got a couple more links. We can play those, but
okay. Yeah, it's just a minute or something,
Yeah.
You can play a minute.
Well, I know you've opened for some great acts, and I mean, you heard on Sirius XM, Dr. Demento. You've opened for Styx, but the one I want to talk to you about, you opened up for the legendary Joan Rivers. Tell us about that, because I mean, when you say female comic, she's at the top of the list.
Yeah. It was at the can't remember, the Colonial Theater in Keene, New Hampshire.
think that was Rob Steen's gig, right?
It was a Rob Steen gig, you know.
What was that like?
He's got it happening in New Hampshire. He's doing a great job. He's got a lot of good things going, and
Oh, sure.
it's very
He's
impressive.
worked hard.
So I opened up for Joan there, and this is the weird thing, honest to God. I think Joan has got a classy act. She's one-liners, you know, classy all the way, right?
Sure.
For some reason, she felt she had an F-bomb like crazy. Now, I'm not a prude. I say this. It's like a spice. Unless you're if you're Red Fox, every third word and every,
Right.
you know,
Fuck
anything.
this, fuck that, fuck everything. That's his style, right?
And then dirty, F,
Right.
you know what I mean? That was something. But Joan Rivers, like I say, classy act, one-liners, funny, right? This is the weirdest thing, right? She's off stage and she's introducing me. Well, this is Joan Rivers, and I'm so happy to hear. And like, please welcome a great comedian, Chance fucking Langton.
That's your introduction.
Yeah, that was my introduction. And she was doing it on stage. She was just F-bomber left and right. So I didn't think, it just, sometimes people try to do something that they're not.
Yeah.
You've seen it happen, I'm sure, you know?
Oh, yeah. Try to go outside themselves. Every crowd's different, though. I mean, some will accept dirty comedy, some won't. Every crowd's different. That's half the fun of it, right?
Yeah, every crowd is different, you know? So absolutely, that is the truth, you know?
But the same crowd every night, it'd get boring. That's what keeps it fresh. You don't know what you're in for, you know?
The best gig I ever did in a concert is when I opened for Styx. And again, because I was playing at the Paradise in the Stitches. They were wired into big concert venues.
Right.
Okay. And Styx, I opened for them. It's what is now the Xfinity Center.
I saw Willie Nelson there. Great venue.
Incredible. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah. Just
right.
Beautiful. Right.
Now, so again, I'm going to say, so they called it the Great Woods back then. That was the name of it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the big
So
outdoor shows.
And again, I'm going to say it again. When you're playing at a concert hall, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy, you know? So again, I walk out, you saw the venue. So I'm walking out, same thing, the lights are on me. The sound is fucking incredible.
Amazing, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? So that was the best gig I ever did in my life, in my mind.
Okay.
So exciting, you know, beautiful review in the Globe. You know, I think he said it was Steve Morse, who's been a reporter for years there. And I wish I could remember something like.
Well, I got it here. The Boston Globe called you craft of the first order. The Boston Herald call you dizzy array, surefire laughs. The LA Times had one word for you. It was excellent. Louis C.K. and Rolling Stone said he heard you once on WBCN and credits you for inspiring him to do what he does. So what do you think when you hear stuff like that? Everybody paying tribute to you.
It feels good. It feels good because you always want to get a good review, you know, and it isn't always like that. I mean, especially earlier on, you're just kind of hanging in there, you know. But
it shows you've earned respect, right? I mean, it shows you've earned the respect of the young comics.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But I'm trying to remember. There's something like that the opening, you know. I mean, he gave Styx was on fire.
Right.
You know?
They're a heck of a band, yeah.
The beginning of the Great Woods season was spectacular, something like this. The opening act could do no wrong. And Styx, this great hit maker or this or that, it was a perfect way to begin. 10,000 people strong. It was a perfect beginning for the opening night at the Great Woods season, something like that, you know?
Yeah. One of the dream nights in comedy, right?
Dream night. And that was the night. I wished I had like a TV crew come in and film it. It would have been so wise, even if it was expensive.
Right. It would have been a great memory and a great
memory, but you could also like
advertisement piece, right? Yeah.
You can send it to Comedy Central or
Oh,
even.
yeah, yeah. You always wish you had a camera going the night you nail it, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, let's see what else you sent me over here. Can we play another thing?
Sure.
All right. Let's see. Tell us about this one. Let's see what we got here. This is I'm That Kind of Guy, I believe.
Oh, that's the kind of guy I am. Yeah. From here, it sounds like dynamite is about to go off,
Right.
like the fuse is heading towards the dynamite. Only you and I know this, but
All right. So that was more your comedy there. Let's see. What do we got here? We played Shut Up. Well, we'll save that one for the end, but
good. That was the top of that. That was.
well, can you hear me still, Chance?
I can hear you.
Okay, we got you back here. All right.
Right.
So we talked about some of the young comics that paid tribute to you. Now, a lot of these young comics open for you while you're out headlining. Is there any of the young comics there that really caught your eye you want to give a plug to here on the show that you think we should keep an eye out for?
Well, I've seen some of the newer guys. I'm thinking Mike Whitman is very funny. I don't know if you heard of him.
Okay.
I think that, boy, these names are.
Tough to remember the names. I'm a face guy myself, you know.
Other guys that were funny. I think Chris Post is good. I've seen him. There's boy, just one guy, I can't remember his name, but I've seen a lot of promise in a lot of people. I don't know if you've ever been to the Comedy Studio, it's in Cambridge. Now
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's ongoing now,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they moved, but they're out of the what was it? The Chinese restaurant they were in. They moved somewhere else, but
yeah, they were in Harvard Square. I can't remember the name of the restaurant.
yeah, I'm trying to think of it now. Right.
It was on the third floor. I mean, if you got the guitar and you're lugging stuff up, boy, it's a real drag.
Right.
But and I did a lot of stand-up. I was there with Gary Gulman one summer. He was there the whole summer, getting ready to do a show he was doing on HBO. Can't remember what it was, but it was about being depressed. Oh, it's called Depression. That's what he called it. It was about going through depression.
Right.
So every night he was there, every single night in the summer. And I was there because I wanted to see, and he was working it out. He was, because he's got mounds of material, but he's got a new special, so he's got to work it out. And it was a blast watching him, figure out things,
Yeah.
So I think Rick there at the Comedy Studio has got a good eye for talent, but he tends more towards, you might say, I'm trying to think of how to say this. I think it's like liberal, if that's
Okay.
the right
Yeah.
word, But there's good guys there, He's got a good eye, and I see.
No, Rick Jenkins, the Comedy Studio. Yeah, if you're a young comic, you want to get on TV, Rick's the guy. He'll get you ready for sure. Yeah.
That's perfectly said. And you know what he's got? And this is amazing. And like I say, go down there and watch the other comics. I mean, you can get on as an open mic, So what he's got there, and this is amazing. He has a video camera, and the sound is perfect, and the video is almost broadcast quality. And in that Ding Ho reunion show last week, the spot they did it there.
Oh, they did? Okay.
We got it out of there, and the lighting is good. It's such an impressive
venue, right? Yeah.
Impressive in that way, impressive. You get like a dynamite video out of it. So, and it's like, the older guys or the more established guys, they don't charge,
Yeah.
But if there's anybody coming in, and this is a bargain, it's $5, just $5, and you get a video.
Get a video, right? Yeah, I got one back in the day. Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you want to get a 5-minute. But
the Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Chinese restaurant. That was the
Hong
one.
Kong. That's what it was.
We figured that out. All right.
Yeah. So what you could do is this, Dennis. you could go there and you could perceive or think about how would I do a 5-minute shot on TV, wherever it was. And by the way, he's not a prude, you know, I mean, you can do things you might not think you could do, you know, but
Yep.
you know, think about what show you would like to be on. Comedy Central, a certain show, whatever it is. It's a great place to work it out. That's
Right.
you know. So and like I
Keep
said,
you ready, right?
and he had a video, he had a camera at the other place too, but it wasn't. This camera was like.
Right. Well, the podcasts are taking over now. The Joe Rogan podcast, that guy's getting millions and millions. They're saying he's hitting more people than the Tonight Show has available to him. So I mean, what's that for numbers?
He is an amazing person. The way
he was a Boston guy too, right? Joe Rogan, he was a Boston.
Another Boston guy, and you know, he there's a guy right there who created his own thing, like you're doing now.
Yeah.
He created his own space like nobody ever did. I heard through the grapevine that he got $800 million to do that show.
Oh, to go to Spotify. They gave him $100 million to go over to
Is that what it was?
just to exclusively put it on Spotify, right?
Is that what it was? 100
But
million?
he still got control of the show. He does what he wants, but the only place you can hear it now is there.
Yeah, he's an amazing person.
Entrepreneur right there. He set the bar.
He's great, and he's playing at Boston Garden.
Yeah, coming up. I saw that. Yeah,
coming up shortly.
Now, do you remember him back in the day when he was a young comic? Do you remember him on the scene or no?
Yes, I did. In fact, you know, here's the God's truth, and again, you know, you don't know the thing you're doing. I did a syndicated show in New York. I'm sorry, New Jersey, and it was called Spotlight Cafe. And the producer of the show was a fairly well-known manager. And I did the set of my life. I played the guitar, just some wild stuff, you know, and just it was perfect. And so he calls me up the next week. He goes, you know, Chance, I like what you're doing there. I want to be a manager. And I said, well, you know, and I had this guy in LA who, you know, in the long run was just not effective, you know?
Yeah.
So I said, well, you know, Jeff, I got this other manager. He goes, is there anybody in Boston you like? I go, you know what? I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for, but I named a couple of open mics, you know, and because he was thinking of younger guys. So he goes to this open mic and he goes, nothing's good. And then this guy comes in. All right, I'm going to see what he's got. It was Joe Rogan.
Oh.
And he signed Joe Rogan right then and there.
Wow.
And he got Joe a deal with Disney, I think, some, you know, like a TV deal.
Yeah.
And he was on a show called Talk Radio as an actor.
Yeah, he got a big break there. Yeah, it was his foot in the door. And
that was on for 5 years. Royalties are going to be flying in. I call it money from heaven on Sirius XM for years.
When you can get paid for what you already did, right?
Right. On Sirius XM, and again, I don't tell many people this, it paid my mortgage every month. Every month. I go, thank you.
That much, wow.
You know, so there's a ways of doing that. But so yeah, Joe was in, and then I saw him in LA. He was playing again at the Comedy Store.
Right.
So I would see him, you know, and I was, here's a problem I had at a certain point in my career. I was a bit aloof. I was polite, you know, and maybe someone wants to talk to me, but I was kind of aloof, you know, hey man, good to see you, you know, and then split, you know. But I think it's very good, first of all, to be friendly. You know, I was friendly, but, you know, open up a little bit, you know, and just, you know, hear what.
Then you get to the point where people want to take advantage of you, though. If you're too friendly, they want to try to take advantage of you. So there's a fine line you got to row there. Yeah,
it could be, but at any rate, he's a very, very impressive guy, and his show is fantastic.
He set the bar for sure. Yeah.
You know, I hope someday to do the show. I think when you go in that show, I think it would be cool just to go on. Obviously,
right.
I think it would be even better if you had something going on. To go on,
advertise it, right? Yeah. Lenny Clark was on. Steve Sweeney was on. I mean, he remembered the Boston guys. Yeah.
Sweeney had the movie I can't remember the name of the movie. Can you know the name
Sweeney
of
killing Sweeney, I believe it was. He just did, right?
Sweeney?
Yeah,
Because he had that movie, they told him to come in,
right. Plug it. Yeah, sure.
and plug the movie, So uh, Sweeney was there at the beginning. Now Sweeney, sort of like Red Skelton, like I was saying, he does all those different characters,
I love Sweeney. He's the guy who gave me my break. I was the local comic, then Sweeney came on my TV show. Once I had Sweeney on, it was Jackie the Joke Man, Carl LeBove, Tom Connor, Lenny Clark. I mean, but Steve opened the door for me for sure.
Were you doing a cable show? Is that what
I
it
was
was?
doing a cable show, yeah, but I couldn't get the big names on until Steve came on. Once Sweeney did it, yeah, I'll be right down. So he was a great guy for giving me a break.
Good. Yeah, he's a dynamic performer, I think he's without question the best actor of all the comedians. I think.
Well, he was in one of Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. He was in one of Dangerfield's movies. Yeah.
You don't believe this? I went to UMass Boston. UMass Boston was like the concept was you're getting a degree from Harvard. I'm sorry, degree from Harvard for peanuts.
Yeah.
For the inner city, people from the inner city, right? I was from Quincy. You're not gonna believe it. This is UMass Boston. It's before they get the campus now on the harbor. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Back then, they only had 2 buildings in a nice area, Boston Common, but it was like 2, obscure buildings.
Right.
And the tuition was $350.
Ooh.
That was the tuition each year. So the whole you got a degree after 4 years, a little more than $1,400.
Right.
All right. And there was a guy there. I met a lot of creative people there. Lenny Clark went there for one, right?
Right.
Tony V went there. I'm pretty sure, I think. But anyway, there was this other guy going there. A guy's a year or 2 older than me. And he was got a huge reputation as being the best actor in New England. It was Sweeney.
Sweeney, yeah.
It was Sweeney.
He's a character. Characters sell.
Yeah. And then, of course, off stage, he's just a regular guy,
Yeah, he's a nice guy. But, you talk about Sweeney in the movies. I mean, you were in 8 Crazy Nights with Adam Sandler, so you've done some big movies yourself. How did that come about?
It's so off the freaking wall, Dennis. And again, I think this might be because of going on TV and this thing or that,
Yeah.
Totally off the wall. And I mean, because I had no idea that Adam Sandler knew who I was from,
Now, wasn't he a Boston guy, Adam Sandler, or no? He's from Worcester, right?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh, okay, Manchester. All right. So New England guy.
He used to come into Boston at Stitches. He used to come in there, before he moved to New York, So what happened was, it was 2002, and I get a call out of the blue from a guy named Brooks Arthur, who's a legendary record producer and also a music producer, scores in movies and this and that, So he called me up, hey, Chance, my name's Brooks Arthur, and Adam wants you to be in this movie. He didn't even say Adam Sandler, and again, I didn't say Adam who. I go, wow, that sounds great. Who's in the movie? Well, Adam Sandler's in the movie.
Then it clicked, right? It clicked. Yeah. Wow.
Would have been really cool if I said, Adam who? What do you mean? What do you? No.
So you must have made an impression on it. Obviously, Adam Sandler must have seen you somewhere, and you made an impression on him to remember you.
Yeah, that was an animated
film, right? Yeah.
Animated film. I would call it a comedy musical.
Okay. Right. That guy's films, though, are, oh my gosh, the audience that guy has are amazing.
He played at the Xfinity Center. And they
I remember that. I almost went to see him. I missed that one, but
a couple of years ago, they gave me, I was sitting the 3rd row in from the bottom.
Really?
And, backstage passes. And back there was Gronk and Julian Edelman.
The Patriots. Ooh.
And
you're a Boston guy. Sports are everything.
Every time I see him, the minute I walk in the door, he gives me the beer hug. Good to see him.
That's great.
Guy. He's such an upbeat guy.
Yeah.
But that was a musical, so I sang. That's what it was. I sang.
Yeah.
He sings. It was the best. I thought it was the best song. All the songs were good, but I thought this was the best one. And it was. I'm gonna send you that track. after the fact. But I sing. No, he sings first, then I sing. Then a lady nobody knows, but she was a Broadway star named Lainey Kazan. She was a star of Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. My mom, well, I never seen it, but my mom loves that movie.
yeah, yeah. And then you said your mother has a record, or?
No, she saw the movie, The Big Fat Greek Wedding. She loved that movie.
Oh,
I've never seen the movie, but she loved it.
Yep, yep. So, and then the last was Alison Krauss. She's a
Yep.
very well-known country singer.
Okay.
Americana, they call it. So here I am with the four, the other three. It's just a beautiful thing, and it was an exciting experience, and hanging out with those guys, and it was really cool.
One of those magic moments in comedy. All right. So we've
magic.
talked about how you got started. We talked about what you've done. You've had a legendary career chance. You could stop now if you wanted to, but you're like George Carlin. George Carlin made the money. He could have retired anytime, but he loved comedy. Did it till the day he died. I think you're that kind of guy. If there's anything you haven't done yet, what would it be? What do you want to do? Anything left on your bucket list?
Yeah, that's something I'm doing now, and it's so funny in a way. I'm going to tell you what happened, and again, I don't tell many people this, but this is a good lesson to learn. When I was in LA that time, 75, doing a comedy, I was really out there to be a recording artist, as a songwriter, and
musician.
I had my friend and I, Russ, and we're still best of friends. Russ, we were good together. We both sang together, and we were comical in a way,
Right.
So he came out there. So Russ and I had been performing together since we were 12 years old. 12 years old. So I wrote all these tunes, and we go out there, and we get an offer, a recording offer, record company, Epic Records. So they give me this, and I have a lawyer, and the deal sucks. Okay, the deal sucks.
Okay.
The lawyer says, in his words, it's too expensive. But so you know what it is? They don't give a fuck whether you're the Beatles. The Beatles get the worst recording contract.
Right. They hope you love it doing it. It'll make you sign a stupid contract, right?
Right. But because you sign that contract and you got a record, and if it's a hit, you're making a fucking bundle.
Yeah, right.
And you would be we absolutely would have made at least $100,000 a piece way back. I'm talking like 75. And so we didn't take the deal, and we ended up with nothing. That's how it goes.
That's usually how it works in the business, right?
The lesson learned is this.
Because you don't know.
You make it, you establish it. It's almost like sports,
Yeah.
When someone comes in, they're not making the big coin unless they're spectacular.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when Tom Brady joined the Patriots, he was the backup quarterback. He was making peanuts. He was making nothing, frankly. Of course, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah.
He was
hoping for his chance, like anybody, hoping for his chance.
Yeah, that's right, and that's what that's all about. You do, if you go, you're going to be playing at concert venues, meaning, I wouldn't call it a theater. I call it maybe a 300-seat type of place.
Yeah.
They have national act. We would have been a national act. Simple as that.
Right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a recording that we made from back then, and just to give you a taste of what it was.
Right.
But so that was a big mistake. So my advice to anybody, if they give you an offer and it's a national thing, do it and don't think twice about it.
Right.
Did you see 8 days a week? It was the Ron Howard documentary about the Beatles.
I don't believe I saw that one. No, I've seen some on the Beatles. I know that one don't ring a bell though.
Very interesting. The question was, a reporter asked, it was Ringo Starr, the Beatles were there, and I said, Ringo, and they were playing all around these stadiums, and everybody's screaming and yelling, especially the women.
Yeah.
The equipment in those days was not good. And so all they were doing was screaming, and you know how they only get a half an hour. They only get a half hour set.
Oh.
okay? And they're screaming and yelling. No one can hear the music, and they can't hear themselves, right?
Right.
So they said to Ringo Starr, well, why do you guys keep going around playing these shows and no one can hear you? And he said, well, we have to do these shows because we signed the worst record deal in the history.
Right. Make any money. That's what we got to do.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is this. The Beatles are the greatest for me.
Right.
I think they're spectacular, And Paul McCartney is a billionaire. And the other three Beatles are worth, $500 million, their family. Ringo's still, he's worth $500 million.
Yeah.
And Paul's worth over $1 billion.
He's still touring, yeah. Ringo and the All-Star Band, yeah.
Yeah, and George Harrison's, his family.
They all made the money, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, all of them. They totaled over $2 billion.
Well, maybe you could do that before you die. Put together a documentary, everything you've seen, everything you've done, and that would be a...
You know what? I think that's a great idea, Dennis.
That would be a good one. Put all your clips in there, put everything you've done in there.
Yeah, you can produce it, Dennis,
Well, I could just like Final Call podcast.
Well,
all right, we're getting toward the end, but I think it's a response.
You asked me a question. I've been writing songs.
Yeah.
I've been writing some non-comedy ballads, and I sent one to you or to your mother, maybe for Mother's Day, and I sent it to you to share with your mother, and your mother liked the song.
Oh, yeah, we took a trip to Canada. We listened to it all the way up there. She loved it.
Yeah. So
that
was a song I wrote, and the singer is just beautiful. Her name was Casey, and she's just a beautiful, beautiful singer. And that was luck.
Right.
To find this lady, she's young, she's in her 20s. To find this lady singing these tunes, that was like one of the biggest breaks in my career. Because when I get this out there, and she's amazing. She has a Apple computer with perfect acoustics in the room that she had. So she produced a freaking track.
Oh, there you go.
So she put her vocals in, and the first time she did a song of mine, she puts the vocals in, and then she's singing harmonies with the vocals, and then the guitar is balanced perfectly.
Yeah.
And when I got it, every time it comes back, she's a freaking genius.
Pro Tools, that'll make anybody, you can do anything you want in Pro Tools for sure.
That's what she's doing. And I'm way behind the curve. You sound like you got your act together. I don't have patience.
Technology, it ain't your thing, right? I understand.
It's not my thing, So I'm writing a lot of tunes. So I'm going to send you a few things,
Sure, I'll get him on the podcast. But, we got a friend of yours, Bill Campbell. We had him on the podcast, and I said you were going to be coming on, and he said you were such a hustler back in the day. And I said, you got a good friend. He wouldn't sell you out. I said, give us a funny story I can hit Chance with. He's like, I don't want to throw Chance under the bus, but he told us one story that there was a booker you kept calling for work, and he said he didn't have any yet. And finally, he called Bill and told Bill, hey, can you tell Chance stop calling me, man? I ain't got no work for him right now, but I'll call him when he does. And when Bill told you that, he said, you know what I'm going to do? You ended up calling him right when Bill told you the story. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's a riot. You do those things when you're young, We were we were in our late 20s. You saw the cover of the Globe. Did you like that? The picture in the Globe?
Yeah.
There's Bill's in that, Lenny in the middle, Stephen right in the bottom.
All the legends, man. It's what you dream of when you're a kid. Be on a front page like that. That's your dream come true, right?
Teddy Bergeron was a great Boston comedian. He ended up on the Tonight Show. Yeah, I know you've never seen him, but
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He's got great stuff,
Yeah.
He was in a picture of Don Gavin. It was really a cool.
The legends. All right. Well, you've done it all, and like I said, Rodney gave you a break, and he taught you a lot about the business. So I'll give you the same opportunity, Chance. A lot of young comics tune in this podcast. If you had some advice for the younger generation of comics, what advice would you give them?
I would say to them, try to be cool. Don't try to. It's hard to do this. Try to get rid of resentment in your mind, and don't try to compare yourself to others. Just do your thing and work it out, and don't feel intimidated. Slowly but surely, have patience. Like I said, the first minute, get that first minute down. in all those dimensions that I said, and then work it up from there. If you go to an open mic and they tell you to do 5 minutes and you don't have 5 minutes, do a minute and blow them away. Blow them away. And guess what? Hey, man, come on back. They're going to have your back. They're not going to be mad. They're going to be impressed that you knocked them out in a minute, because you can knock them out in a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, you know? So, and I would say this, you know, when you're doing the other gigs, do them, you know, if they offer you X amount of dollars to do a paying gig, you know, go in and do it. If you got, like, if they hire you to do 10 minutes, when you work up to 10 minutes, then go and do it, you know, just do it. And if you got 5 minutes and I hire you, I'll tell you right now, if you get that 1 minute and blow them away, now you get the second minute and you blow them away. How about if you do 5 minutes and you blow the fucking house up?
You get remembered.
You know? Build for that, work for that, go to open mics.
Be ready.
Do a minute, just do a minute, you know, and don't be intimidated by 5 minutes.
Right.
And then just slowly but surely work your way. Look at Stephen Wright. He did 10 minutes and that was half of his act.
Yeah. National act out of it.
In that first week.
Yeah.
He did 10 minutes. That was half his act, you know, and then he had the other 20, other 10. And then he, you know, but you know what's great? He's back in Boston. He's hanging out. You know, he's a great guy. He's
always a Boston guy, just like you. You're always a Boston guy, right?
Yeah. So he's a great guy all the way, you know.
All right. So we talk so much about your musical career. Can I play out one of your songs here? Is that okay? Chance?
Sure. Fire away.
Let's see what we got here. Some music by Chance Langton right here. And you can tell us about it, and then we'll end on that. Here we go.
Yeah.
Great tune right there, Chance. Tell us about it.
What song was that?
You sent it over.
I
Let's
can't
see.
remember.
Tell me if you love me.
Oh, yeah, that was a that was in a studio. We did that in Boston, actually, but I think it's got a country feel to it. I'd love to see somebody cover it.
Now,
Somebody.
that was you playing all the guitars there, right?
My friend was playing lead guitar, but I was playing
okay.
acoustic guitar.
Okay.
The bass player was just wonderful, and the drummer. It was a tight recording, So I'm getting that thing out there. I mean, that's something that I'd like to get other people to do a cover of it. That would be
Right. Yeah.
But I don't even know the group. I looked them up. Somebody in Nashville said that the Mavericks could do it in Nashville. And I did want to mention this too.
Yeah.
I just made somewhat of a deal with Fishman. Fishman is probably the world leader in acoustic pickups and amplifiers and things like that. And this has just it just happened like in the past week. So I'm a spokesperson.
Oh, you got your own line of stuff you're a spokesperson for.
And they gave me a beautiful amplifier, just spectacular. And I'm also they have brochure isn't the right word, but probably on their website.
Right. Yeah. You're the spokesman. Yeah, sure.
That are on it. And so I'm on their team. It's very exciting. But they're right in Andover, So
Sure, yeah.
But they're known all around the world. They have a shop a warehouse, a business area in Nashville now. And so, I mean, they have so many things, pick up.
Well, we got G Vegas Buffalo Sauce here on the Funny Like Clown podcast. They're our sponsors. So it's always good to have somebody want you, right?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, let's get more sponsors in there too. Is that a possibility, or what do you think?
Anything's possible. We can get them in. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's
Chance, what a legendary career. Geez, music, comedy. I'd tell people Google Chance Langton and check out more of your work and see what you've done. But I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I had a blast, Dennis. I could talk all day to you,
You got great stories. It's a pleasure to listen to them because you've done in comedy what everybody dreams of, and just to hear the stories of it, that's what we grew up on.
Absolutely, Dennis.
So I wish you luck in the future.
You too, Dennis. I know you're going to do great, and this is great. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. We'll talk soon, Chance. Stay in touch.
Okay, Dennis. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yep.